You are listening to the I Choose My Best Life podcast with Dr. Saundra Dalton-Smith, a show that is dedicated to helping you live fully, love boldly, and rest intentionally. For additional resources, visit ichoosemybestlife.com.
Welcome, everyone. This is Dr. Saundra, and you're listening to I Choose My Best Life. Today, we're going to be chatting about what do you do when life feels messy? God's still good. We're chatting with Rachel Awtrey. She has a newly released book, Love Your Life, even when you don't like it all the time. So I want us to go deeper into this topic because I feel like so many of us have found ourselves there where you're like, God, I know you're good, but this does not feel good. So Rachel, welcome to the show, and let's dive right in. I assume if you've written a book about this, you've experienced it. So share us a little bit of your backstory.
I am so honored to be here. It is a hard one fought for truth that I feel like I've been through some interesting things in order to come out the other side, but I also am not immune to think that I'm not also going to face other hard stuff in the future. And so I'm in this position, like we all are, where I'm asking the Lord, okay, what is it? Where do you have me today? Living in this tension between having a life that I should be, air quote, grateful for, and then the other half of this life that's just really hard to live sometimes and to be in the middle of. And how do we work that tension to our advantage, to live the abundant life, to abide with Jesus in the ways that he's called us to? And I'm excited because I feel like this is the tools that I wish I would have had that I implement in my life now. And I've been through hard things, have been through, will go through. Last month saw hard things. And I can tell you, I'm a transformed version now than I was in previous things by applying these truths.
I love how real you get with this book because you talk about the messy, the mundane, as well as those magnificent moments that we can have with God. When I hear that, messy, mundane, and magnificent, I feel like, oh, those are three unique situations. But is it possible to actually hold all three of those at once within our lives?
100%. There have been so many days where I get the devastating phone call, spill the coffee, but then also have something really exciting to celebrate. And my emotions are a little yo-yoed all over the place. I'm trying to figure out, where do I settle? And that is where the gift of joy and the fruit of joy actually comes into play, and is our strength to be able to ground us, guide us, to be able to be the gift on the hard days, the truth that we know to be true when we're not sure what is true, when our ground feels shaky. Yeah, it is so possible to feel all three at the exact same time.
Now, you describe joy as a fruit. I'd love for you to define that for us. When you say joy, what do you mean exactly? And what if I'm not feeling joy? How do I deal with and experience my life, might be a better way of saying it, when I'm not joyful in the moment?
Okay, I'm so glad we're asking this question because in my mind, it's not that there's anything wrong with people that are asking the same questions in their own head and in their own life. I think that we just need to get a little bit more honest and transparent with the fact that we're human and we have these conflicting thoughts and feelings. One, I would define joy, and I'm so glad we're defining it because I think we've gotten it wrong for a long time, especially in the evangelical culture. Joy is, I say that happiness is what's happening around you. Joy is what's happening inside of you. That regardless of the circumstances, you can't change your life, but you can change your mind. So how do you work through the truth of what joy is? I think a lot of us have written off joy as being a personality trait, being an emotion, when in reality, you were told joy is a gift. It is a skill. It is something to get good at. And for the people that are like, I don't know if I feel joy, I'd say then it might be time that we start exercising this joy muscle so it does get stronger, grow stronger, and can hold the weight of the things that we've asked other things to hold that don't work and will crumble over time.
Oh, I love this. So let's get an exercise plan. How do we exercise this joy muscle? Because I feel like this muscle is atrophied in a lot of our lives. It's like it can't hold up a paperclip. So what are some rhythms of joy that we can start building in, particularly even for parents? Because I feel like sometimes kids don't seem to be kids anymore. They don't know how to play and have fun. How do we get joy back into our lives?
I love it. You just use the word play. That is probably one of my favorite ways. at some point, we all, I think, bought into the lie, maybe around 16, 17 years old, that like having fun is not cool. And especially in the church, we think that talking about sorrow and grief and hardship is what makes us more mature believers. I think what's actually the most mature and required thing we can do is to pursue fun, is to find play, is to figure out where joy is right in front of us. And again, get good at it, being noticers. That thing is, it's hard. It is rebellious. It is defiant. It is what will actually be the fuel to get us through the things that we're facing. It's not, I think a lot of times people are like, oh, she's not being in touch with reality if she's having fun and still facing the circumstances she's facing. And I'd say, no, it's actually, I am in touch with reality, which is why I see this needed, necessary in my life to go and to pursue fun and play. So I'd say it's that, like playing, noticing where is the good around you, not saying that anything is too small to hold the weight of what the Lord placed as a delight in our life. We have this broken world, but still he left us with these little breadcrumbs to put together to be just enough for us to be able to live each day excited and delighted and living abundantly. So I'd say noticing, playing, resting, which you're really incredible at speaking to. I gave you a shout out in the book about rest because I think you were the first one that ever changed my mind about it. Resting, if we're too tired to see what's good in front of us, so we probably will never see what's actually good in front of us if our eyes are so sleepy, metaphorically and literally. And then I also think that there's rhythms in our life. There's a home that I hope we feel safe in. Like it is all these little areas that we need to just start exercising. Think of like the gym. There's the treadmill, there's the weights section. And in the weight section, there's all these different types of machines. Similarly, like we're going to go exercise this one muscle, but in a lot of different ways in order to get the fullness of what the strength of this could actually be of joy.
Oh, that's so awesome. And this concept really of noticing and leaning into that process of noticing, that's something for myself. I think it might have been like probably 20 years ago now. There was this book that came out titled The Noticer by Andy Andrews. It was phenomenal. I highly recommend it for you who's never read it before. But it began this process of, God, what am I not noticing? Because I feel like that's part of the reason why these kind of in-between seasons where you're not where you want to be, but you're also not where you were, you're in this process, we're not noticing him in those moments. And so I'd love to hear just from your own life, has there been a time where looking back now, you saw the benefit of what it could have been had you allowed yourself to notice God moving in the middle of all of that?
Yes. Okay. I will take you back to a very specific moment and season in my life. I was freshly-ish postpartum. I had a 5-month-old. I had just figured out that I was pregnant with our next unexpectedly. I miscarried that baby. We had just moved to the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, for my husband's pilot training journey. And it felt like everything was unknown. It felt like everything was too hard to hold. It felt like I was alone. I had believed a lot of lies and claimed them as truths. And it wrecked me. It really brought me to the end of myself. And I remember this moment where I heard Lisa Turkist, we love her, say this one phrase that really changed it for me, which is you steer where you stare. Even on the road, like if you're looking to the left, you'll probably you'll start merging left on accident. And it's the same in life. When we start looking at hard things, we're probably going to start seeing and moving towards hard places and hard thoughts and hard seasons. Not that we're getting ourselves there, but I think that we're not actually backpedaling and working ourselves out, if that makes sense. Even if we were talking about an orange Subaru today, right now in this moment, I can guarantee you, our friends listening, will probably see 6 of them this afternoon. Not because they weren't there before, but because it's top of mind. And so it is this figuring out scientific brain work, like neuro pathways, creating rhythms in your life to notice things. So for me, in those moments in Oklahoma, I would notice the nature around, try to actually pick up things that I admired. The sunset, I'd make sure I got outside to see it. The wind, I'd make sure I got outside to feel it. In my home, if there was coffee, like I would be up to actually brew it, smell it, enjoy it, go through the process. And it woke my body and my mind up to actually start noticing other things too that were always around. I just actually wasn't attuned to see.
Yeah, I think that is so important. Just this concept. And I love that saying, we steer where we steer, because it's easy to understand the reality of that because we've all seen it in our own, just when driving a car, in our own practical life situation. Yes. And I think sometimes that for those who are like myself, have a tendency to lean towards workaholism and lean towards self sufficiency, and I can handle it, God, get out of my way, let me handle it. There's this pressure to almost try to curate the life we want. It's like we have our to do list, we have the things that we think will make us happy, we have all of this stuff. And then when it doesn't line up the way we wanted, or it doesn't play out or the way that we anticipated, then we find it difficult to step into joy because of the circumstances. How can we get to a place where we're really embracing just the real, honest reality of life and not always in that performance driven mode to create the perfect?
Oh, so good. I say this in the book too. I am not here to like boppity boop fix your life. That is hard work. That can't just happen in a moment. But what can happen, if you can't change your life, you can change your mind. And that is a hard work to do. There's also this truth that I want us to understand, that you can nod to hard things. Like, I recognize that has happened and that is a part of my story, without bowing to the hard things. And I think we give almost the hard moments, the stories, the things that make us, a little too much credit. And we forget that there's a savior that came to have the final say over those things, to give us the hope of heaven. We're told Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10, like, it is the joy of the Lord that is my strength. It is not the fact that I can control things are my strength, or the sustainable future I'm trying to build for myself is my strength, or when I have the kid, like, I'll feel strong. I think it is the joy of the Lord that is our strength. And it is such a privilege that he gave us a gift that it's up to us to receive and then to implement into our lives. So I am not trying to convince people you should like something that is quite frankly unlikable. There are parts of our lives that I would want to change if I could for you, but we can't. So what do we do with that? We nod to it, but we don't bow to it. I will only get on my knees for the one who is greater than me and of this world. And that is the hope that I hold.
Yes, and you provide some really practical and tools, some really practical tools that people can use to navigate some of the frustrations and these disappointments and challenges that pop up in life. Share a couple of those that you found to be very helpful in your own walking with others.
Yeah, okay, we're going to get so practical. It's going to seem frivolous, but these actually have helped me so much. I think when we give a little bit of time to reflect and observe what works and what doesn't, not the final say, but we use it as an observation to change things rather than the understanding of the way things will always be. For example, I'm in the toddler mom life right now. Everything about getting out the door feels so hard that it keeps me from going on adventures or play dates or doing things that I would love to enjoy to do and introduce my boys to in the world. And it keeps us home, which then, of course, makes sometimes days tricky. I think every mom is nodding this point. Like, I hear her, I know where she's coming from. So what do? I reflect. What are the things that are making it tough and difficult to get out the door with good attitudes? We can't find our socks. The shoes are scattered. Like, the juice is spilling and all these things. So I think, okay, maybe I stop putting the socks in a drawer that's upstairs in someone's room and I start keeping the socks more closely to the front door, right? Like, maybe I don't keep the hair tools for my boys, like the final, like, getting their hair all zhuzhed before we get out the door in the bathroom, and I start keeping it in our entryway. Like, something like that kind of takes the ease, or takes the hardship out of the issue and gives us a little bit more ease to actually do the things that I know are going to bring us life, or invest in community, or serve where we are, or be served where we are. And I think if we just take moments to actually pause, slow down long enough to reflect on what's getting in the way, we can very easily remove the obstacles, find new rhythms, implement them. And those kind of become a skill too, so that we, again, don't have the obstacles in the way to notice the things. And like we talked about earlier, when you notice the things, joy becomes a lot more available, or it seems to be more available. It's always been available for us.
Yeah, I love that. I love the practicality of the ones that you mentioned, because it then requires us to also be really honest about, am I doing things out of routine and rhetoric and what other people have told me is the right way of doing it, or what I feel like is the norm for the world? The norm for the world is to put the sock in the drawer in the kid's room. Or am I being just raw and honest and authentic about what works for my life and my family? And noticing that this does not work the way that I've been doing it. And there's another way that actually will allow me to be in a moment of truth with my current season and what's going on with my life. I love that. And it really feeds in with the theme of your book about abundance and looking at things outside of a scarcity mentality. Why was it important for you to include that as part of this conversation?
Yeah, I have been the friend, I have been the wife, I have been the mom, where I just felt like I didn't have enough. I wasn't doing enough. And it kept me on a hamster wheel that was slowly bringing me to a version of me that I did not want to go. And I think that we are all becoming someone. We're becoming something, whether we're doing it on purpose or not. You are moving in one direction or another. And I want to be able to partner with the Lord, partner with his idea and his purpose for my life rather than have life happen to me. Again, like I said, I want to happen to it. I want to show up for life. In order for that to happen, I have to slow down. I have to be aware. I have to ask for help. I have to admit that I can't do it all. And so it was important to me to realize it can't be up to me and my performance because I'll fail every time. I have before, I will again. And that is a tendency of me in my humanity to think that I could. But the most beautiful moments of my life, the moments that I've learned the most are the moments when I surrender and I realize that I can't do this on my own. I'm going to need help.
I want to end our time with this last bit because I feel like there's probably a woman listening right now who's like, you know what? I prayed for this life. I built this thing that now feels frustrating. I sought after certain things and I am standing in the middle of the life that I created, but I'm not loving this life. It does not fit who I have become. What would you say to her?
I would encourage her that if you're here, God's not done. And he is a gentleman. We are in his timeline. He's also not going to force and rush things, that he's asking for our partnership and our obedience with the opportunities he's given us. And I have had to do a lot of undoing in my life. I'm sure Dr. Saundra, you would say the same. Like some of the moments of wisdom have come from having to undo, to admit, to confess, to find community, to be like, guys, I got to be honest. This is not working for me. And to have them speak truth into my life, to remind me who I am, to remind me of the truths that God has in store for all of us, the promises he's made, the covenant that we live in. Like it takes other people reminding me of what's true. So I'd say to her, like, be so for real and honest and transparent and find trusted, safe people to be honest and transparent with. And together you can borrow their faith, borrow their hope, borrow their joy if you feel like you have none. And then also it allows you and affords you the ability to see through your own cluttered mind that we all have. I have a friend, Ashley, and she says you can't see the label from inside of the jar. It takes other people sometimes seeing what is reality as your reality and can speak that truth to you in moments you feel discouraged, lost, alone, and afraid.
So good. This is where that whole concept of social rest really developed for me because I think some of us are so self-sufficient, proud, whatever the word is, we choose to use, however real we're going to be with ourselves about it, about why we don't let other people get so close because we don't really want them to see, but we need people to be able to see, to really see us, to be able to speak life into places that maybe the enemy is attacking or maybe our own lack of self-worth and acknowledgement of what God's placed inside of us is being attacked. So I love how you are really calling people back to a life that they love. So we've been chatting with Rachel Awtrey. She's the author of the book, Love Your Life. And I want to make sure, Rachel, people know how to connect with you. You have a podcast. You're up to a lot of different things. So what are some ways they connect and some resources that they can use to go deeper into this topic?
I love that. Yes, you can find me online at rachelawtrey.com. You can also find me on Instagram. Listen, the Instagram world gets a bad rap, but I love it. If it can be used effectively, I love to be there too. It's like my online scrapbook. You can find me at rachel.awtrey. And then I have a podcast as well called Real Talk with Rachel Awtrey, a very similar conversations Dr. Saundra has been on several times. So you can go and listen to her episodes. She is a wealth of knowledge. And then, yes, I have this new book called Love Your Life, even when you don't like it all the time. And it's available wherever books are sold.
Excellent. And we will link to Rachel's website. We'll link to her social media as well as link to her newest release. So you can dive into this topic. I think it's a very timely book because so many people right now are in that position where they are building a life and they're looking back and saying, I don't like what I felt. So if that's you, there is hope. As Rachel has just mentioned, I encourage you to get a copy of this book. Thank you so much, Rachel, for joining me today.
Thank you, Dr. Saundra. It means the world to me.
Until next time, everyone, live fully, love boldly, and rest intentionally. What if one decision could shift the entire trajectory of your year? This July, you can join Best Life Mentoring for 12 months of Christ-centered coaching, soul-nourishing content, and purposeful community at 30% off. Whether you're in transition, feeling stuck, or ready to finally prioritize your growth, now is the time to say yes to the life God has for you. Use code BESTYEAREVER at bestlifementoring.com and step into the next season fully equipped, fully supported, and fully aligned. But don't wait. This offer ends July 31st, 2025. So grab your discount now by visiting bestlifementoring.com, code BESTYEAREVER.